In this lesson, Corrective Waves, the learning objectives are you should know how to identify corrective waves, and you should know the types of corrective waves. In the last lesson, we looked at impulse waves. An impulse waves is a price movement in the same direction as the trend, and a corrective wave is a price movement in the opposite direction as the trend. Together, both wave types form specific patterns that lie at the basis of Elliott wave theory. Impulse waves are normally larger than corrective waves. If we are in a bullish market, the impulsive waves are going to be the ones going up, and the corrective waves are going to be the ones going down. The larger waves are going to be bullish, and the shortest waves are going to be bearish. In a bearish market, the impulse waves will be the ones pulling the price down, and the corrective waves will be the ones pulling the price up. The larger waves are going to be the bearish ones, and the shortest waves are going to be the bullish ones. Remember, waves 2 and 4 are corrective waves with respect to waves and 1 respectively. Remember from our 2 lessons ago, we covered what the Elliott waves look like this. This would be wave 1, this would be wave 2, this would be wave 3, 4, and 5. So the corrective waves would be 2 and 4. Wave B is a corrective wave since it corrects wave A. Overall, the ABC is the corrective wave for the 1 to 5 impulse wave. Remember that the ABC pattern is this one. Unlike impulsive waves, which are relatively simple to identify, corrective waves are much harder to spot. There is, however, one key rule when it comes to corrective waves, and that is they will never form a 5-wave pattern. Only an impulsive wave is able to form a 5-wave pattern. However, one or more of a corrective wave's subordinate waves can form a 5-wave pattern, but this is the idea of fractals and how if you look closer, each wave is really another wave, and then if you look closer, another wave, etc., etc. But that is not important. Just know that the corrective waves will never form a 5-wave pattern. There are 2 guidelines that apply to corrective waves. The first guideline of alternation states that if wave 2 is a sharp correction, wave 4 is likely to be a protracted sideways correction. And if wave 2 is a protracted sideways correction, wave 4 is likely to be sharp. More often than not, wave 2 is a sharp correction and wave 4 is a sideways correction. Just to give you a visual representation, this is what they mean. Wave 2 in a sharp correction, they have wave 3, and we have a protracted sideways, maybe with a slight downturn. Another guideline is equality, and that states that wave A and wave C tend to be more or less equal in length. This guideline can be used to determine where wave C is likely to end. Zigzag corrections consist of a 3-wave pattern that is labeled A, B, and C. In these corrections, waves A and C are impulsive waves, and wave B is a corrective wave. Wave B often retraces to 50 to 61.8% of wave A. It even extends beyond 61.8% in most cases. If you don't know why I'm using the number 61.8%, I'll tell you now, it's a Fibonacci number, but I would advise that you go back to that lesson of Fibonacci levels and retracements to understand what I'm talking about. Moving on, a zigzag correction can extend to form double zigzags or triple zigzags, with each zigzag being separated by an intervening wave. You can often anticipate a double zigzag when wave C of a zigzag appears to fall short of its normal target, though this is not a rule that always has to be followed. Double and triple zigzag patterns are less recurring, occurring in larger corrections and in larger time frames. Overall, the zigzag pattern usually has a deep correction going as high as usually the 78.6% level. I would say that if you look closely at this zigzag pattern, you'll see that the broader movement is an ABC pattern, or the three movements, A and B, A and C being impulsive and B being corrective, but within that you have sharper moves forming a 5-3-5 pattern. And this is like, if you zoom in, you'll see 5 waves for the A movement, A impulsive wave, and then you have 3 waves for the B corrective wave, and you have then 5 waves for the C impulsive wave. There are also flat corrections. Flat corrections also consist of a 3-wave pattern that is labeled A, B, and C. But if you look closely, its subordinate waves form a 3-3-5 wave pattern. That means A and B have 3 waves if you look closely, and C has 5. A characteristic of these corrections is that they are weak corrections, with its wave C often failing to exceed the length of wave A, or go past the level of wave A. Flat corrections often follow a strong impulse wave, and occur more often as the fourth rather than as a second wave of an impulse wave. Flat corrections have 3 subcategories: a regular flat correction, an expanded flat correction, and a running flat correction. Just to help you understand something, when we talk about impulse waves, we usually mean the first movement in a trend. And then when we talk about corrective waves, we talk about this movement. I hope that helps moving forward. In a regular flat correction, wave B tends to be a 100% retracement of wave A, and wave C tends to be slightly more than a 100% retracement of wave B, ending slightly further than wave A. In expanded flat corrections, wave B moves beyond the start of wave A, and wave C moving beyond the start of wave B. In the running flat corrections, they are very rare, and they are similar to the expanded flat corrections, with the exception of wave C fails to move beyond the start of wave B, and also fails to reach the end of wave A. Triangle corrections consist of 5 waves labeled A, B, C, D, and E, with the subordinate waves forming a 3-3-3-3-3-3 wave pattern, meaning that each wave A, B, C, D, E have 3 waves if you look very closely. In an ideal triangle correction, each successive wave will fall short of a 100% retracement of the previous wave. However, it is not uncommon to have wave B exceed the start of wave A. As you can see, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Every single one doesn't have a 100% retracement, so it almost converges by the time it reaches E. Sometimes an expanded triangle is formed when each successive wave is more than a 100% retracement of the previous wave. In a corrective triangle wave, each wave is 61.8% retracement of the preceding wave. The fifth wave tends to make a false breakout towards the opposite direction of the trend before resuming its trend. What this means that is at that point on the fifth wave, which is E, of this triangle, a corrective triangle wave, it would then shoot back up in line with the impulse wave, or go down in line with the impulse wave if it's in a downtrend. The triangle is formed by connecting the end of waves A and C and the ends of waves B and D. They are either converging or diverging trend lines. Triangles always occur as the fourth wave of an impulse wave and is usually followed by a short, swift fifth wave that travels the approximate distance of the widest part of the triangle. Combination corrections are usually horizontal corrections that form combinations of simpler three-wave corrections, such as zigzag corrections, flat corrections, and triangle corrections. However, a combination correction can end in a triangle correction, but it cannot start with one. Each of the simpler corrective patterns that make up a combination correction is separated by an intervening wave that has three subordinate waves, as these are corrections in a correction. Combination corrections occur more often in the fourth wave. In conclusion, the correction waves are the most challenging part of the Elliott wave analysis to comprehend. The zigzag pattern is easy to understand, but rarely recurring, whereas the flat waves and triangle waves are difficult to interpret in the live market scenario. Therefore, it is best to avoid trading corrective waves unless you become well versed in Elliott wave analysis. If you're still here in this lesson, I congratulate you at understanding what Elliott waves are about and how to use them in these different scenarios.